7 drastic weight cuts that almost killed MMA fighters. We all know that fighters like to bulk up and then shred some of that water weight coming into a fight. They then can rehydrate and be 5 to 10 pounds over the weight they were at the day before at weigh-ins. This kind of cutting is common in MMA and has caused a lot of controversy over the years. Fighters want to give themselves an edge, but sometimes it can severely damage their health and reduce their ability to be competitive. Let's look at 7 drastic weight cuts that MMA fighters took that almost killed them. Number 1. Johny Hendricks. A household name that had incredible highs, competing with the likes of George St. Pierre and winning the vacant welterweight title. Unfortunately, after his initial title run, he succumbs to an aging body and had little to no room for error in the cutting world. During his fight against Kelvin Gastelum, he came a quarter pound over the weight, having to shave his iconic beard to finally make it. It was clear that he was unable to continue at the same weight class, and this led to the promotion forcing him to go to middleweight. Here, he would go 2-5 and miss weight a couple more times before eventually retiring in 2017. After retiring, Hendricks is now focused on his coaching career, sharing his knowledge of wrestling with others. More importantly, he doesn't need to do any more weight cuts, and he looks happier than ever. Number 2. Daniel Cormier. Before making his run in the heavyweight division, DC fought at light heavyweight, and it was truly a taxing cut. He walks around at 235 and must do more than a 30-pound cut just to make the 205 mark for light heavyweight. We saw this in his fight at UFC 214, where he was matched up against Jon Jones. DC looked like he had abs instead of the more rounded physique we are accustomed to. Here his face is also sunken in, and he looked sickly and dehydrated. After several more fights at light heavyweight, Cormier made the decision to move up a weight class to fight for the title. Here, he was matched up against another future Hall of Famer, Stipe Miocic, and became double champ after winning via knockout. Never looking back, Cormier continued to stay in the heavyweight division for his next fights. Number 3. Florian. Many fighters who are unable to win at their natural weight class move up a division or down, trying to be competitive again at a different one. This was the case for Florian. He started in the welterweight division at the Ultimate Fighter, and then decided to move down to lightweight. Although he had some success, Florian wanted to get his hands on the ultimate prize, a crack at UFC Gold. This time he tried to move down another weight class to 145 in order to compete for the title against Jose Aldo. This would put Kenny through a terrifying weight cut journey, with him looking like death at the weigh-ins. He ultimately lost the title challenge to Aldo and retired shortly after. Number 4. Max Holloway. This is a fighter who has stayed at the top of the title discussions for quite a long time. The former featherweight champion has moved between featherweight and lightweight, enduring large changes to his body composition. Max is a fighter that is best known for his love of sweets and even has said in interviews that he loves eating multiple times. You can clearly see that in his weight cut to 145 at UFC 218, he looked much skinnier, with his cheekbones and ribs protruding more. He did, however, win his fight against Jose Aldo to win the UFC Featherweight Championship. Only at the age of 29, Max Bless Holloway has fought for or defended against the title 7 times. He has all kinds of ups and downs, but we all know there's more title fights and weight cutting for this former champion in his future. Number 5. James Irvin. If there's one example of a bad weight cut or pushing a human body to its limits, it's the one Irvin did to make weight at 185. This was a fighter that traditionally did heavyweight cuts just to get to 205. James thought that he would be able to do more with his power and size advantage at that lower weight. However, this ended up backfiring, and after losing his fight at UFC on Versus 1, he decided to move back up to his more natural weight class. Dana White even criticized his weight cut, calling it a move that was a bit too drastic. You can see in the Alessio Sakara vs James Irvin weigh-in video, Irvin was positive, but definitely a shell of himself. He looked completely unrecognizable. Number 6. Kevin Lee. Cutting 20 pounds plus is already enough to drain your body, but when you must do that in addition to fighting off an infection, it might just be too much on your health. Kevin the Motown phenom Lee hid his staph infection at UFC 216 to formalize his weigh-in and get his fight against Tony Ferguson. After the fight, Kevin revealed that his weight cut paired with the infection almost killed him, saying it was one of the hardest weight cuts he's ever had to make. During the weigh-ins, he missed weight at first and even had to cut a little bit more and use a towel just to make it. Pushing the human body to its limits like this can easily fire back. Kevin Lee was gassed out in his bout and lost the fight via submission. This teaches us that it's not always the best option to push your body to such extreme levels. Number 7. Rumble Johnson. If there is one person who represents insane weight cuts, it is no other than MMA fighter and legend Anthony Rumble Johnson. He started fighting at welterweight and looks completely unrecognizable to who he is today. To give fans perspective, Johnson currently fights at 205, almost 50 pounds more than his fight with Josh Juszczyk at UFC 106, where he fought at welterweight. This weight cut made him look like a skeleton, and I'm sure fans were surprised at how energetic he still was. After being forced to move up a weight class to middleweight, he was still having issues managing his cuts. During his bout with Vitor Belfort, he missed weight by 12 pounds, leading to the UFC having to cut him. Johnson did manage to come back to the UFC after moving to light heavyweight and made a title run. Now he's fighting much closer to his natural weight and is scheduled to fight Yoel Romero in Bellator's light heavyweight World Grand Prix tournament. These 7 fighters have had great success in the octagon, but I'm not sure doing these insane weight cuts led to that. What do you think about these weight cuts? And is there a fighter that should be added to this list? Let us know in the comments below. Like us if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you learned something new.